students, how are you all? I hope you are staying safe at your home. So let's start with today's class 9 biology. So yesterday we have started with first chapter of biology, that is according to your NCERT book. This is lesson 5, the fundamental unit of life. So that was the introduction of the chapter, and in the previous video we have discussed about the microscope, cell discovery. There are some other important and one more activity also we have discussed, onion peel activity. Through that activity, I hope you understood how the cell was first discovered by Robert Hooke. And the compartments that were visible in the onion peel slides were actually the cells. But they were the dead cells. But later on, the living cells were also discovered. Not only the onion, but all other living organisms, they are made up of cells. Either they can be unicellular or multicellular. So let's see some other important scientists which are related with the cell discovery. These are the scientists' names and these are the discoveries done by them. So Robert Hooke we have already discussed. In 1665 he has discovered cells, but they were the dead cell. And I hope you remember that from which he has discovered cell, from which part, that is the dead slice of cork. Later on in 1674, Anton van Leeuwenhoek, he discovered first living cell. He took a drop of pond water and observed it under the microscope. His microscope was little more efficient than Robert Hooke's microscope, but later on when the discovery of compound microscope, electron microscope was done, then it was more clear for the scientists, it was more easy for the scientists to study the different parts of the cell. Next scientist is Robert Brown. He discovered nucleus. As you might know about the structure of cell, just an overview how the cell is made up of, what are the components of a cell, like the cell has a cell membrane, plant cell has a cell wall around cell membrane, in the center there is a nucleus, and cell organelles are there which are embedded in the cytoplasm. These small things we have already discussed in the previous class, but later now in this chapter we will study the details of each and every component, what are the functions and everything. So I hope you remember what is the nucleus. When I have shown you a picture of the onion peel slide, there was the darkly stained circular structures present in them that were actually nucleus. So Robert Brown was the first scientist who discovered nucleus in a cell, and the year was 1831. Next is Purkinje. Purkinje was the scientist who discovered protoplasm in 1839. Protoplasm is actually the cell fluid substance of the cell. If you will see a cell, this is the basic structure of cell. This is the nucleus inside the cell. This structure, the fluid substance which is present, is actually, what do we call it? We call it as cytoplasm. So the term protoplasm was given by Purkinje in 1839. That was only for the fluid substance, living fluid substance, without any nucleus, without any cell organelle. So the living substance enclosed inside the cell, without cell membrane, without cell organelles, without nucleus, is called protoplasm. Is it clear what is protoplasm? Next is Schleiden and Schwann. In 1838 and 1839, they gave cell theory. Cell theory, it has played a very important role in the study of cell because they gave some points in the cell theory that we will discuss, take up later. Next is Rudolf Virchow. In 1855, he told that all cells arise from the pre-existing cells. Means he gave the idea to us that the new cells arise from the previous cell. Means one cell will give rise to other cell. Means all the cells, they arise from the pre-existing cells. Okay. So pre-existing cells. So it was also a very important discovery, and a term was also given by Rudolf Virchow for this, that is omnis celluli e celluli. It is called omnis celluli E-cellular. It means the same, that new cells arise from the pre-existing cells by the process of division. Okay, let's start with the next topic. As we have discussed about everything about the discovery of cell, now let's see, as I told you, every organism is made up of cell. Either it is a simple organism, simple unicellular or multicellular. On the basis of that, the types of organisms, let us discuss here. On the basis of number of cells, how many number of cells are present in the given organism, there are two types of organisms, unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. Unicellular are those which are made up of single cell, and multicellular are those which are made up of more than one cell. So in this case, for example, we have amoeba, bacteria, parameciums, generally the microscopic organisms, and multicellular will include generally plants, higher plants, animals, humans, etc. So in unicellular organism, a single cell has to perform all the functions of the organism. As we have discussed, cell is called structural and functional unit of life. So the unicellular organism, all the functions will be performed by a single cell. That is why it is present in simple microscopic organisms where all functions will be performed by a single cell. Whereas in case of multicellular organism, which has many cells, millions, billions, trillions of cells are there in a multicellular organism. For example, if we talk about humans, in our body we have billions of cells. So in that case, the complexity of organism will also be increased. So it is not possible for each single, means a single cell, to perform all the functions. That is why in this complex organisms, multicellular organisms, the cell work together in some group which is called tissue. So that group of cells which perform a single function together is called tissue. Similarly, then tissues will combine together to form organ, then organ system, and then organism. That will take place in case of multicellular organism, because in multicellular complex organisms, to increase the efficiency of work, there will be division of labor. Division of labor means the cells will divide their function. So we will see in the next session that what will be the function, what will be how the different parts of a cell works, how the function of different parts of the cell is assigned to them, and the tissue chapter also we have next chapter as tissue, how the cells works in group and in the form of tissue, the types of plant and animal tissues. Now on the basis of complexity, we have two types of organisms, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. So prokaryotic, pro word means, karyon word is used for nucleus. So karyon word is used for nucleus. It means prokaryotic means before nucleus, means these are the ancient cells which were first originated on earth. When you will see this type of cells, they are very simple. The well-defined nucleus is not there. It doesn't means that it doesn't have genetic material in it. It will have genetic material in the form of DNA or RNA, but it will be not present inside the nucleus. There will be no proper nucleus found in this type of cells. And the other one are eukaryotic cells, which are the true cells or the new cells, the modern cells, which have proper nucleus, a well organized nucleus in them. So let us see the difference between the two. So prokaryotes are simple organisms. They are also called prokaryotes. These are complex organisms. Now well organized nucleus is absent in them, as I have already told you. Well organized nucleus is absent. But in this case, well organized nucleus with the genetic material, chromosomes, everything is present inside the nucleus. We will take up in detail the detailed structure of both prokaryote and eukaryote later. Cell organelles are absent. Now what are cell organelles? Inside a cell, you know that there is cytoplasm, there is nucleus. Other than nucleus, we have some other structures which are called cell organelles. In 8th class also we have discussed some of the functions of different cell organelles like mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, plastids and ribosomes. All these are called cell organelles. We will take up in detail one by one each and every cell organelle with their function. Next, they are smaller in size because they are simple, they don't have any cell organelle, so they are smaller in size. As compared to eukaryotes, they are larger in size. Examples you can see here is bacteria, paramecium, euglena. So these are the examples of prokaryotes. And here we can see amoeba, plant cells, animal cells, the complex organism, the complex cells. These are the examples of eukaryotic cells. So as we know, each organism is made up of cell. So it doesn't mean that all the cells are same in all organisms. Either it will be a unicellular organism or multicellular. So let us see how the cell varies in shape as well as in size. And first of all, let us clear why is that so. Why there are different shapes of cells, why there are different sizes of cells. That will totally depend upon their function. Because as I told you, in multicellular complex organisms, each and different cells have assigned different functions. Because they are complex, so they require division of labor to do efficient work. So on the basis of the function they perform, they have different shape, they have different size. For that, we can do an activity also. We can take different cells on a slide and observe it under the microscope. From plants as well as from animals, the different cells can be taken to see the size and the shape of the cell. To find out that why the shape varies in a cell. So let us take the example of human body. Human body is a complex organism. It is made up of many types of cells. Depending upon their function, the size and shape of the cell is different. So let us see. Here you can see smooth muscle cell is shown, nerve cell is shown, fat cell is shown, sperm is shown, ovum is shown. So these are the cells which are collected from the human body. Except the amoeba, we will discuss about amoeba later. So smooth muscle cell has this spindle shaped structure because which function it performs? What is the function of smooth muscle cells? It is a voluntary muscle. It means, it is a voluntary muscle which will not, which is not under our control. It functions very smoothly. It is generally present in stomach, intestine, where its contraction and relaxation movement will help in the movement of the intestine and stomach. So its function is it is a voluntary muscle, so it is without striations. So its shape is, it has to contract and relax together along with all the muscle cells. That is why its shape is like that. Then nerve cell. You can see here, nerve cell has a branch structure. It is a very unique cell. It is the largest cell in our body. Its structure is like this. It has so many branches. Why is that so? Because nerve cell is a part of our nervous system. And our nervous system, our brain has to transfer message from one cell to other all the time. That is produced in the form of electrical signals. So these nerve signals or electrical signals which are produced by one cell is to be transferred to other cell very quickly. Due to this, the nerve cell has this kind of structure because it has so many branches, so that when the message will come to one cell, the message means the electrical signal or the nerve impulse. When it will come to one cell, it will be very quickly transported to other cell through its unique structure which has branches all over it. Then next is fat cell. So fat cell, it is also called adipocyte, and its function is to store fat in it. You know that excess fat in our body is stored in fat cells. That is why its structure is like this. You can see here a very small nucleus, and it has a big empty vacuole in which it can store, empty space in which it can store fat in it. That is why its structure is like this. Then you can see sperm. Sperm has a different structure with a head and a tail, because with the help of this tail, it can easily swim to move towards the ovum. It can swim with the help of this tail in the female reproductive system. Then let us see ovum. Ovum has a big size as compared to sperm and a nucleus inside, a big nucleus, because the ovum will ultimately provide the cytoplasm as well as nucleus along with the sperm nucleus to the zygote. Means the zygote will be formed, the cytoplasm of the zygote is actually the cytoplasm of the ovum. Okay. So these are the different cells which are present in a single organism, human body, and you can see there is a large variation in the shape as well as the size because of the different functions to be performed by these cells. That is why there are various shapes of cells available to us. Let us see in amoeba. Why amoeba has a different kind of structure, not like other organisms like bacteria, paramecium. They all have unique structure. Because amoeba, it doesn't have a proper structure, it is a irregular kind of structure. Why is that so? Because it always forms pseudopodia to catch food for it. That is why amoeba has such an irregular structure. So this is the various shapes of cells depending upon their function. Now let's come to the size. It is not like the big organism will have a big sized cell. It is not true. It is that the cell size has a specific, means the cell has a specific size, and if the size will be more than that specific number, that specific you can say dimension, then the cell will start dividing. Let us first see the smallest cell and the largest cell present. Smallest cell is a bacterial cell which is called mycoplasma, and its size is 0.2 to 0.4 micrometer. I hope you know that what is micrometer. We have already discussed in class 8. Micrometer is a very small unit. Its value is 10 raised to power minus 6 equals to 10 raised to power minus 6 meters. So you can imagine how small is the unit. This unit is basically used for microscopic organisms. So you can imagine mycoplasma size is 0.2 to 0.4 micrometer, which is very small, and this is the smallest cell all over. There are so many organisms and this one is the smallest out of all that organisms. And the largest cell is ostrich egg. So ostrich egg is also a unicellular structure and its size is 15 by 13 centimeters. So you can imagine ostrich is the largest bird. So its egg is also a largest cell. So its size is 15 by 13 centimeter. So here you can see that the cell size as well as shape varies depending upon their function. And one point I was discussing that the cell number and the cell size, they both are related to each other. How? Means if an organism is bigger in size, it doesn't mean that its cell size is bigger. It means that its number is bigger. If a cell, if we compare rat with the elephant, the rat's nerve cell will be of same size and the elephant's nerve cell will be also, both will be of same size, but their number will be different. So you can imagine rat is very small, elephant is very huge, but the number of cells will be different. The number of cells in elephant will be more as compared to rat. Their size will be same. So we cannot judge the size of an organism with the size of its cell. Okay. So this is all about cell shape and cell size. So in the next video we will take up the next part, that is the structural organization of cell, in which we will discuss all the components of cell, the structures which are present in the cell, their function, their detailed structure, the various processes.